What's going on there in Topeka? Are you getting that tax cut or not? Let's find out from Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. This has been one of the big focuses during this legislative session in Kansas. Republicans want a tax cut, and Governor Kelly, to her credit, does want a tax cut as well. It's just a question of how they go about cutting those taxes. Dave, it's been, a couple months in the making here. It seems like we're getting closer to a possible deal. What's going on?
Yeah, good morning, Pete. It's good to be here. The new plan that came out of the House, House Bill 2844, has been approved by the Tax Committee. It was a unanimous approval, and it really generated some really healthy discussion in the committee. I was there when they were taking testimony, and there seems to be a genuine interest on both sides of the aisle to reduce taxes. And it looks like, Governor Kelly has kind of signaled that she might think about signing this, which is a big departure from her position on the flat tax.
Now, part of that is because this proposal out of the House is not a flat tax, right? It's a two-tiered tax system that does lower the taxes for all or the majority of Kansans.
It does reduce the taxes for every taxpayer.
Okay.
And it's two-tier. You might even call it a three-tier system because the first rate is zero. The first $14,000 of married income, $7,000 of single income is taxed at the rate of zero.
And what's that at now?
And now the first dollar of income is taxed at 3.1%.
Okay, all right, that's nice.
That's up. Yeah, so that's up to 15,000 single, 30,000 family. Mm-hmm. And then the bracket kicks in at the next level is at 5.25%, and then the top over 30 single, 60 family is taxed at 5.7%. So this exempts the first 7,000, 14,000 from tax. Then everything up to 60,000 is taxed at 5.2%. And everything above that, above 60, is taxed at 5.65. So the way that's structured, by exempting that first 7 and 14,000, reduces taxes for everyone, but the tax reduction is the greatest for people at the lower end of the scale. At least on a percentage-wise, in some cases even on dollar amounts. Mm-hmm. The reduction for we looked at an example in our testimony. Even someone making $1 million only got a 1% reduction in their tax.
What's the average Kansan get back on a tax deal like this? How much money are we realistically talking?
Well, the average, I don't know how to. The average depends on so many different variables, but we're talking here in total of about $400 to $500 million a year. Another really important element of this plan phases out income tax on Social Security. That's also so. Does your average taxpayer get Social Security or not? That's why it makes it really hard to say what's the average. Mm-hmm. But for people living on Social Security income, this is a really, really big deal. Kansas is only one of, I think, 12 or 13 states that tax Social Security income. So it's not just an issue of what can people afford to pay because their property taxes keep going up, but it's also a competitive thing. If you can move to a lot of other states, even Illinois, for goodness sakes, doesn't tax Social Security.
Yeah. Okay. If you can't at least get to Illinois' level, what are you doing? Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is joining us on KCMO Talk Radio. All right, so Governor Kelly might sign this deal, lower the income tax, and then also get rid of the Social Security state income tax, which would be obviously long overdue. So that's a great sign. That's all trending in the right direction. The other thing that's right now top of mind is how the education establishment is unfortunately continuing its assault on students. What is going on that front in the state of Kansas and here locally as well?
Well, there's a great example of that, Pete, in today's Kansas City Star. Senate Bill 427 was proposed by school board members who are focused on improving student achievement. The system is designed to sustain the system, the majority. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue. Think of it more of is your interest on putting government interest first or students?
Mm-hmm.
And the groups that are putting government interest first are doing things like they won't allow a board member to bring a subject up for discussion at a board meeting unless the majority says, yeah, we'll talk about that. Here's a great example of what's happened. Out in Hayes, they're building a new high school, and the community, a large segment of the community, is upset because they're not putting boys and girls restrooms in. This is a trend in Kansas in building new schools. Some are even eliminating urinals. They have this set
What do
up.
They want the boys sitting down or spraying everywhere. What is that all about?
Sitting down.
They want the boys sitting down. Okay, great. I mean, so we are raising beta males in Hayes, Kansas. Good to know.
So they're putting this system in where there's a common wash area and then individual stalls with walls to the ceiling. Well, the community isn't pleased with that. There's a board member who's for almost a year been trying to get this brought up for a public discussion. Can we take a vote and hear what the public thinks about this? The majority of that board does not want the discussion brought up. So people's voices are stymied. And this is what the Star is calling overreach. And they're worried about local control. They do not worry about what's good for students. And there's a lot of things like this that are examples. There's a bill in the House Bill 2731, simply requires the Department of Education to give an achievement report to the legislature that's specifically designed to show what's going on.
Wow.
40 members in the House voted against that. Again, the system is saying, no, we don't want to do this. There's no reason to, because we don't want you to know what's really going on.
So they would have in Hayes these kind of unisex bathrooms like what you see up at the airport, where everyone walks in and then you get your own stall and then you come out and everyone kind of washes their hands together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they don't want the public to vote on it. That's why some of these legislative changes are really important.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working closely with a lot of school board members now. The State School Board Association really works for superintendents, and so we created this new subsidiary, the Kansas School Board Resource Center, to work with school board members who want to improve student achievement. And they're finding out what's going on, and we're finding out how things are really operating inside these boardrooms, and coming to the legislature with assistance. Another simple example that is bizarrely a hot topic, we're just asking that school districts publish email addresses for school board members so patrons can get in touch with them. They don't want that.
They don't. I mean, they're elected officials. That's ridiculous. I mean, it
is.
Gosh.
But the State School Board Association does not want that. They want they're basically saying it's okay if a superintendent says, no, we will not allow board members to communicate with their constituents. We want to control that communication.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Dave Trabert doing great work with the Kansas Policy Institute. Thank you as always, Dave, for the time. Appreciate it.
Good to be here, Pete. Thanks.